Aikido, the way of harmony. Created by Morihei Yoshiba, Aikido is based on avoiding conflict by blending with an opponent's movements and neutralizing his attacks. The Aikido master is said to resemble the eye of a hurricane, quiet in himself, but difficult to approach because of the tremendous forces swirling around him. Aikido is characterized by flowing circular movements and the use of vital energy, or chi. The goal of Aikido was established by O-Sensei to spread harmony and reconcile the world. He dedicated his life to the art of fighting, and later fashioned an art that seeks reconciliation rather than destruction. And on his deathbed, he said that he had only scratched the surface of Budo and the potential of Aikido. With his religious code, he instilled Aikido with a divine mission: to seek Aiki as a connection to the spiritual center of ourselves. Aikido is one of the most effective and one of the oldest types of self-defense known. Taking up Aikido, as in any serious martial art, is essentially a process of change. A weak person is expected to become strong, while a strong person must learn control. An aggressive individual has to learn restraint, while a passive person should try to develop confidence in himself and his abilities. Amongst the martial arts virtues taught are discipline, restraint, humility, and respect. The fusion of these strands of Eastern thought forms the foundation of Aikido as it is practiced today. Ralph Wemberly is chief instructor of Aikido of Staten Island. After studying different martial arts, including karate and Tai Chi Chuan, he began his studies under the teaching of Yoshimitsu Yamada, 8th Dan. In 1981, he established Aikido of Staten Island, where he continues to teach his style of dynamic Aikido that appeals to and nurtures both the student and instructor alike. The art of Aikido is based on the use of minimal strength applied at the critical moment. Aikido has no blocks. It has no offensive moves, and even its basic kata is defensive. It can be applied with great aggression or with profound gentleness. By practicing the techniques of Aikido, one will learn to move one's body to gain a tactical advantage, as well as moving one's body responding to the opponent's attacks. One shifts in such a way that one is facing the same direction. Essentially, this is done by using the force of one's opponent to his disadvantage. Thus, when pushed, the Aikidoka moves with the direction of the attack, adding his own power to the force of his opponent. Similarly, if pulled rather than pulled in the opposite direction, he adds his own weight and movement to the pull, applies the appropriate technique, and thereby brings the opponent under control. He wins not as a result of a contest of strength, but by utilizing the force of his opponent. The art lies in knowing when to apply just the correct amount of power to control the change. Just as a skilled surfer knows how to ride a powerful wave without injury, a martial artist needs to know how to use timing and movement to achieve his ends. Competition events in the modern martial arts is no substitute for the realism taught in Aikido. Contest in itself, regardless of whether the fights are in karate or taekwondo or any other martial art, bear only the vaguest resemblance to actual combat. In fact, if you're only training for modern competition, then it can be suggested that you are not really studying the martial arts at all.
Okay, you will participate with...
The fact that there are no Aikido tournaments or competition helps to change the reason for studying the art from winning awards through domination to improving mind, body, and spirit. Aikido teaches the practitioner to view the world from his attacker's point of view, to understand where an opponent is coming from. This makes for an ideal temperament to resolve conflict. It is this component that many believe to be the greatest contribution that Aikido can make to family life. It is also possible to understand Aikido in terms of the game theory. Finite games, which have winners and losers, are short-lived and momentarily give satisfaction to the winner and disappointment to the loser. However, infinite games, where the object is to continue playing, makes the concept of winning and losing of no consequence. This perspective increases skill and builds confidence in a more positive way, where everyone involved in the game will benefit. In short, Aikido can be viewed as beating a sword into a plowshare. Another interesting factor of the study of Aikido is the knowledge a student gains of the ways in which the various limbs of the human body function in different circumstances. Another is the reaction of an attacker to deflection, unbalancing. Techniques applied strongly will result in different reactions to those applied softly. And sometimes, surprisingly for the pupil, the more power he or she may use, the less effective the technique. Some techniques require an almost gentle approach. Eventually, the mind of the Aikidoka will arrive at a level of consciousness called Mushin, mind of no mind. This is a level of proficiency where the cognizant mind of the martial artist is not directing the furious action he is involved in. A higher mind takes over, and each technique is appropriate, powerful, elegant, and perfect. Aikido is not easy. It requires concentration and hard work. You must learn to move, always on balance, always in a strong posture, and always into the correct position concerning a particular attack. You must learn not only to deflect, but also to deflect correctly. And you must attach to your attacker, perform each technique with practiced precision, and eventually without conscious thought. So Aikido is not something you're going to learn in 1 year or even 2. Mind you, from your very first lesson in the dojo, you will be growing fitter and stronger. And many people who thought they had no aptitude or ability have found that they have become very proficient. Aikido techniques are most effective when they're applied with the least amount of muscular strength as possible. But when trying to learn this most important lesson, one soon finds out firsthand the futility of external power. When one starts using internal strength, movement and application becomes more natural, and the enjoyment begins. O-Sensei, the founder of Aikido, said, "The only way I can really explain Aikido is to draw a triangle, a circle, and a square, the 3 most perfect proportions of geometry. Precision within technique is vital, and one reason why Aikido techniques when first seen can appear to be very rounded and exaggerated. This is part of the Aikido teaching method. All techniques shorten under stress, and if taught initially in a shortened style, the technique used with eventual realism or in a street situation will be useless. What should be a short, curved deflection will become straight. Everything will be too abbreviated to be effective. But the reaction of the Aikidoka must then be instinctive. And it is for this reason that brief self-defense courses, even those given to special forces, are of little long-term use. Instinctive reactions is the result of continuous and regular practice, not a once or twice a year 2-week course. Aikido is suitable for everyone. Its exercise and training methods help improve and maintain good aerobic levels. Regardless of when you take up Aikido, one thing is certain: take it seriously, and you will develop a much more positive attitude, greater mental discipline, and an improved level of physical fitness. It's a fact that only 22% of adults are involved in leisure time physical activity recommended by the medical profession. Even more surprising is how little is required to meet the requirements. Regular Aikido training can help keep a person feeling young and relaxed. And the belief that in order to master anything, that one must master oneself, helps to make people strong from the inside out. One can practice at every level, vigorously and with awesome power with one partner, or to a much lesser extent with a partner who is not as experienced or as robust as oneself. Every opponent is different and is usually keen for his partner to both learn and understand. If you, your friends, or members of your family are interested in learning more about Aikido of Staten Island, why not see for yourself? For more information, call Sensei Wembley at 718-442-5125 or Sensei John Mullen at 718-815-5700, or you can log on to the website www.aikidoofstatenisland.com.
Come on, he's taking it easy. Get him. That's right, one at a time. That's right, go. That's right, get him off you. Next one, get him. The circle, I guess that's the shape that Aikido most identifies with. Our moving exercise at the beginning of the class are the exact same movements that we use to work against other people's attacks coming towards us. So if an attack comes directly towards me and I make a circular movement, then I'm not blocking that, but I'm not stopping their attack, but I'm getting their attack. Their movement is now caught up in my movement, and I'll overextend them to where their movement is no longer sufficient for their needs, but now it's perfect for my needs, which I can take and apply a technique on. The square symbolizes stability and centeredness. So there are techniques where we're not moving, but we're imposing our strength on one another, and we're supposed to take that attack and apply our relaxation, our centeredness. Getting back to the questions about ki that you were talking to, I don't really preach about how to use ki. Okay, I don't know enough. However, I do know enough that when I've got ki extended and working, I know it when I feel it. And I can tell when, if they're using it, if they throw me right. If they throw me right or put the technique on me the right way, I can feel it. And usually, the hallmark of an Aikido technique is that uki feels the ki, and the person who's throwing feels relaxed. But the person who's being thrown feels the ki. He's being thrown. And if we have to struggle with the technique, that's automatic feedback telling us that we're doing it wrong. So when you do it right, it feels almost effortless. Triangle means volition, and the way we can deal with the triangle centered as the square, as we perform the technique. So that's the meaning of those things.
I started Aikido around 9 years ago. I was a chronic smoker. I just finished, I could just quit. I worked with Teamsters, truck drivers, and found myself in a position where I was being constantly harassed and attacked. So my son worked out with Ralph, Sensei Ralph. So I said, let me go down. So I studied it. I'm also in charge of security where I work. And I've had to use Aikido to refrain people, but I've never hurt anybody.
The first instructor I ever studied under told me that you can take this art into your old age. I've been practicing for just over 29 years. It's my 30th year. I'm 57 years old, and I can still do it. Is with the circle, but we also have to be